So this latest movie is a story within a story.
Do you ever feel like your life has turned into something you never intended?
Are you sleeping? You scared me the last time we talked.
You know me. I never sleep.
It's fun to kill people. We should try it sometime. Nobody gets away with what she did. Nobody.
So hey guys, welcome to Owen Sound. Today I'm talking about the new film Nocturnal Animals. This is a new movie from Tom Ford, who previously directed the Colin Firth movie A Single Man. It's also notable that he's originally a fashion designer, so it's interesting to see how stylistically he attacks movies. So let's go right into the movie and its actors. Amy Adams stars in this movie, and I'm liking her more going into these movies now after Arrival. She gives a very interesting performance to the movie, given that a lot of her really performance in the movie is given through reactions to Jake Gyllenhaal's story that he's giving in his book, and I really felt like this was an interesting and I guess nuanced performance by Amy Adams, given that she's just making a lot of faces and reacting and then doing things after the fact, and it was a lot of her doing stuff on her own, and I felt like this was an interesting performance from her, as she really had to stand on a bunch of strange qualities of her acting abilities for this one, including just working on her own and acting purely through facial reactions rather than talking to people and just doing that regular thing. Jake Gyllenhaal is great as he usually is, but I just felt in certain scenes he just didn't seem to react in the exact way that you think that somebody would react in given the circumstances that he's put in, and not to say that a movie can't be unpredictable, but I just felt like it wasn't even close in certain sequences to what you would think that somebody, given his very, I guess, extenuating circumstances, would react to, and I just felt like at certain points it just took me out of the movie. Always one of my favorites, Michael Shannon is a joy as always, playing this kind of grizzled cop character who's basically just dying of cancer, and he's super just angry and doesn't really care about anything anymore. He's not the best in this entire movie, but he's super fun if you're just into pure Michael Shannon type characters, as this is a very Michael Shannon-esque character, but it's almost cartoonish at times where he says lines like, "I'm dying, I don't care, remember?" On this note, however, I did feel like Armie Hammer's portrayal of the current husband of Amy Adams was just so hilariously unlikable in certain sequences. It felt like he was kind of like a cartoon, annoying, bad husband that was like destined to not be with Amy Adams. And it just felt like his character was so hilariously unlikable that I just felt like it didn't seem logical that she would be with him purely based on his looks. So basically the story follows Amy Adams reading her ex-husband, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, reading a story that he wrote, and it's basically her perception and reaction to the story, and you're also following the story in itself as the kind of main thrusting plot, where the actual emotional weight of the movie comes from the story of Amy Adams and her husband going on in the background, I guess, of the movie itself, but is actually the main driving force of the movie, where you're getting all these scenes interspersed, and the very start and end of the movie is mostly focused on that, and that's really what you should be focusing on. This is a very story within a story movie, so it is easy to actually miss up on some of these things and find like, oh, this one part of the movie doesn't work, but if you view it as one cohesive actual narrative, it's a very interesting way to do a movie, and it actually makes the two stand out very well within the context of the broader story of Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal's relationship. It's very interesting in this fact to look on how the book and how it's perceived in the movie is reflective of both characters, as the overall plot of the book is reflective of Jake Gyllenhaal's view on his life and what happened to him, and his writing ability as an author, but it also reflects on Amy Adams in the way that she perceives the characters to look a lot like her, and her daughter. As you look throughout the movie, they do seem to be her projecting herself onto these characters that look a lot like her but aren't exactly her, and her reactions to the event in this book after projecting herself onto certain characters and what happens to them throughout the actual story within a story are also very reflective of how she actually feels about Jake Gyllenhaal at this point in her life, seeming to be past him. This works really great as a cool, cohesive way to tell both characters' views on where they are in their life, and it's really interesting to see how both characters react, and certain things I actually have to complain about Jake Gyllenhaal's performance may actually be part of the overall performance, and on retrospect it could actually work in his favor to what he was trying to do with his character. Going off of this, the book story was my lesser of the two favorite stories in the movie. It does feel like it climaxes very early, or at least has the highest tension moment very early, and a lot of the tension of it is dragged out, and the rest of the whole book seems to be following the events after, and just is not nearly as exciting, but it does lead you to follow the character story between Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal going forward. But given this, in this story, there are a lot of moments where I feel like I was yelling at the screen inside at Jake Gyllenhaal's character for certain things he was or wasn't doing and just how he was reacting. As I was saying before, the opening sequence of the book is one of the strongest moments of tension in the entire movie. I could have seen a short film actually just based off of this entire sequence. It was so fun and gripping and tension filled to watch. I was almost hoping the entire movie would be kind of following this for a while, and I just felt like this was one of these strong moments where just they're going in this car down the road, and the events where they're meeting this group of people and the tension starts building as you just feel unease, which is so powerful and fun. And it was just this great unnerving scene where I just felt like my blood was pumping and I wanted to see what was going to happen next, and after it was all over I just felt like the movie didn't quite keep up with this specific story after that. But this said, this was a great moment of tension building and filmmaking. Now, this may just be my pure ignorance speaking, but I didn't totally understand the opening sequence of the film. It's this art exhibit that Amy Adams' character is putting on, but I just didn't totally get what it was supposed to be doing with reference to the rest of the movie. I do feel like this is ignorance on my part, but I just felt, given that it was very going for kind of like a shock type of thing, especially with all the very in-your-face nudity at the start of it, I just didn't get where it was going, and I just felt like overall I needed some sort of refresher after watching that to get what I was supposed to be missing there. But on that note, for me then, it doesn't really take away or add anything to the movie, so I'm just going to put that in the Owen is dumb bin. Going to the complete opposite, to the end of the movie, I thought this was a very interesting ending. I felt like a lot of people might actually think this is a very ambiguous ending. You don't feel like the movie actually reaches an ending, but if you're actually following the two narratives in the movie and following the characters intertwined with these plots, I did feel like you actually get the ending if you think about what the characters can be doing, and it actually does feel like a very concise ending if you're following the character development that is hidden very intricately through the story. And I felt like this was one of the most interesting uses of character building through almost no actual visual of it, and you're just watching it happen and feeling the emotions and watching these characters move when you're even not seeing some of the characters actually at certain points in the movie. So overall, I really thought Nocturnal Animals was an interesting way to tell a story and a really powerful character development and emotional storytelling movie that does so very interestingly and not really in your face with how the character development happens. And interesting moments throughout the story, great visual, just overall visual spectacle that this movie delivers. I know I didn't talk enough about that, but I just felt like this movie was really cool in certain ways. It has certain problems with it, but overall I want to say it's an 8.0 out of 10. I really did think this was a cool movie. I think it's super smart too, and I really thought it was very innovative in the way that it shot certain elements that would seem almost secondary or just stuff that would be thrown out in a regular movie. But I overall thought that this was one really interesting movie that tried to do something different and in a smart way, and didn't treat its audience like idiots, although it does have moments that will appeal to people that are looking for something just more generic as well. And I just felt like there's some great moments of filmmaking and just overall composition in this movie in terms of both visuals and the story and writing overall. So once again, you can check out everything I'm doing on my Owen Sound blog, and you can hear about this movie and a lot of other movies I've been watching on the Real Deal podcast that I'm doing with my friend Michael. We'll be talking about this one, Rogue One, and tons of other movies, and this one should be out around the time that that one is dropping. So going off of this one, I want to ask you guys, what's a movie you like that tells a story in an unconventional way?